Here we are again, ladies and gentlemen, Champions Cup 2021 live from the Rittal Arena in Wetzlar. Crossover game for positions 5 to 8 between Porto Toros and Gran Canaria. Next to me is Joe Bestwick, who's already done the first game of the day. It's myself, Kai Gerla, who will be here for the next 3 games. Yeah, Joe, what about that game?
Yeah, that was... I've got to say, I'm pleased to see that the last game Albacete managed to bring a little bit to the game that they were maybe missing from yesterday. I think they'll be a bit disappointed with that. They played a little more aggressively, and Raden in most parts I think will be happy that they managed to show a little bit more than they did at times against Thuringen. If we just have a look at the two teams here, we have the starting fives already. From Porto Torres, we have the same starters as yesterday with Simula, Gomez, Puglioni, Sofian Meui and Alessandro Pedron. And for Gran Canaria, we have again the same lineup as yesterday. We have Jorge Sanchez, Mendel Opdenort, Angel Hernandez, Ari Twigt and Rose Holloman.
Yeah, so overall, I think my impression is already before the tournament that Porto Torres might be the weakest team participating. They were already struggling in the Italian league, not making it to the semi-finals. So yeah, overall, as we've seen yesterday, out of the 45 points they scored, it's been 31 from Sofian. He's for sure their, let's say, fixed point of the team. He needs to have the ball, he needs to create stuff to make the whole team better. And it's gonna be probably easy for Gran Canaria to play a little bit more on him and leave somebody else open to let the rest of the team show, hey, if you want to beat us, you gotta play without Sofian and you gotta do stuff on your own.
Exactly, I think the Gran Canaria speed, they're not a super fast team, but they have a very even mix of speed, and again they're not huge, but they have an even mix of height. That should give them the opportunity that they can, like you say, put a lot of pressure on Sofian on the outside and maybe force the ball into the hands of Gomez, as we saw yesterday, a guy who can knock down shots, but when he's forced outside of his range or he's forced to handle, and that's not so much his strength, and that's where especially Porto Torres, who I believe had the Italian, one of the famous Italian players, Rossetti, playing for them, I believe, not travelled for this tournament. I'm not quite sure why.
Yeah, Stefano Rossetti, who came back to the team.
Yeah, not sure why he hasn't travelled, but that's definitely hurt them a little with their rotations. You can see they have a very, very short bench and play almost solely with just the 5 guys on the court.
Yeah, and besides Sofian, they are really lacking the speed Gran Canaria has, and especially if it comes down to ball handling, I think they are really handicapped against all the teams participating.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, and that is one of the things where in wheelchair basketball, obviously teams can change a lot from season to season. It's you can have a great team one year, and then particularly in years like this with COVID and changes in funding situations, that maybe the sponsors aren't quite as willing to invest as much as they had been in previous years, or not able to invest as much, and that can mean that teams like Porto Torres can be very, very strong one year, qualify for European competitions like this off the back of their historical achievements, but not necessarily have the team you'd hope to compete in the next season.
Yeah, let's have a look at Gran Canaria. We were talking shortly before the game, before we went live, about Gran Canaria, that they did a decent job yesterday, that they had some good rotations on defense, that their Dutch guys especially really used all the space they got against Landil to get a good score, to have a good shooting percentage, especially the one who was at the jump, number 2, Mendel Opdenort. They, as I said, played a decent game. It just didn't quite make out for them in the end.
Yeah, it was difficult for them. I think they went into that game as clear underdogs, but they definitely showed that the strength they had, and they weren't a million miles away from being able to get an upset yesterday. And it's difficult for them because, as we mentioned yesterday, they play in the league with a junior bonus for Ari Twig, and that means that they're able to play James McSorley as a 2 instead of their 1-pointer in their league games. So they've done very well to be able to adjust to playing with a very different lineup here in this tournament so far.
Oh, and that's a nice seal on Jorge Sanchez, and unfortunately he misses. But that looked quite similar to what Landil happened yesterday a lot, that they were just not stopping chairs. If you let Gran Canaria roll, they will get to the basket, they will get easy scores. And as you mentioned, normally they can play James McSorley in the Spanish league, but their one pointer did a really good job against Landil. I think he scored 8 points, and that's already a lot for a Class 1 who's regularly not playing that much.
Exactly, and it's not that he's a one-pointer like, say, Abdi Jammer from Great Britain, who's somebody who really dominates as a shooter rather than maybe creating so much for other people. Like, he is very much a creator for other people, usually, from what I understand. And so to have a shooting game like that against a team like Landil is even if it does mean you're the fifth threat on the court, that's definitely impressive.
Yep.
As you say as well, Gran Canaria have I think the best thing you can say about this team is they are really balanced. They can all use their chairs very well. They can all finish well. They're good mid-range shooters. They obviously have a focus in Jorge Sanchez as their main three-point shooter. But Rose Holloman as well is very, very comfortable knocking down threes when she has to. So they're a difficult team to stop when they have such good ball movement and you've got 5 guys that you really need to stop.
And now it's interesting to see, it's kind of the defense we've seen from Landil all year long that Gran Canaria is playing, lining up with 5 guys really on one line at half court, a little before half court, and trying to get as much time from the clock and as much pressure as possible on the ball handlers.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different system. It's, as you say, similar to Landil, but different to what we've seen from other teams in this tournament, for example, like Albacete, for example, collapsing into the key and really using their size. Gran Canaria know that they're maybe a little undersized compared to some other teams in Spain particularly, but also here not so much against Porto Torres, but then using their quickness, using their athletic skills to build that line and not necessarily get a 24-second shot clock violation, but to just take time, take rhythm out of the offense.
Yeah, I guess that's one hard thing to do in every game. Normally, like, offense dictates the game you're playing. If you're that good on defense that you can change the offense of the opponent team, that's really huge. If you can do that, if you have to make the opponent think about their offense and not just play their offense.
Exactly, it's just taking teams out of their rhythm. So many teams are so used to, as we see, a turnover there from Porto Torres, 3 pushes from Sofian. So many teams are used to being able to train, they run their offense and it's nice and comfortable and set, but a team creates a different pressure than they're used to feeling in training, and then you take them out of that rhythm and you can really see the difference. I think we saw that a little bit with Landil yesterday as well, that they weren't in the rhythm that they're used to playing in, and it affected them and it affected their percentages during the game.
Yeah, looking at that game, 2 minutes are over and we got no scores so far. Got a couple of layup shots, possibly easy shots in the key, but yeah, nobody scored as well. So both teams are still trying to get adjusted to what the other team is giving them right now.
That's right. It can also be different. At the end of the day, wheelchair basketball is still a relatively small sport, and it's not usual for teams to play in such a big and beautiful arena as this. Like, a lot of teams are based in school gyms or smaller local gyms with maybe a smaller capacity, and the depth perception for a player when you're playing in an arena this size with glass backboards, it completely changes your view of the ring and your view of the gym generally, whether it's playing passes a little too short or undershooting free throws as we've just seen from Sofian here. It can take some time to adjust.
I'm really glad you are mentioning exactly that point, because with Marina at one of our league games, she's been asking that before the game, if it's still a home court advantage for Landil. And I said, yeah, probably it is, because you get used to the depth you were mentioning. You are used to all those stands you can see, even if they are empty, and you're not playing in a small gym where maybe a wall is right behind the basket. And that's a difference you have to get used to if you are not used to playing in a big gym like that.
Very much so. I mean, there's always, even without fans, there is always an element of home advantage, I think, just from being in the comfort of your surroundings. Whether teams make use of that can sometimes obviously work against you as well, but usually that's a nice finish there from the Class 1.
Oh yeah, and that's been a nice pass by Christian Gomez, because it's not easy to get a pass on point to a player that small, and I'd say that handicapped. It's really like that. It's hard to get a good pass to him to make him score.
Particularly, yeah, you can see the players almost just using one arm there. So for him to be able to catch the ball, adjust his positioning, his hand positioning on the ball, and then still be able to finish in such a short space of time was really nice to see.
So yeah, now Porto Torres is really stopped far above 3-point line. And as I said, Sofiane is the only ball handler that they really got. But that's a good thing about him. He's quick. He's fast in straight line speed, and he's quick with his first pushes. So if you underestimate him as he's cruising around, he can beat you by just 1 or 2 pushes and get to the basket.
These small movements are really key there. You see, he didn't do very much, but that just small flick of the hips is, as a 3-point player, he's still able to use his hips quite effectively. And that small flick of his hips, nice 3-pointer there from Sofiane.
Really quick release.
Very, very quick. Yeah, that slight flick of the hips, though, just manages to draw the foul quite often from the opposition players. You're expecting him to keep going straight while he'll fake with the ball or with his eyes in one direction, flick his hips in the other, and just draw the foul. I do think, though, the Gran Canaria made the mistake of they were jumping over to him then rather than just trying to stay underneath the pick. Like, they had all of Porto Torres stopped a long way above the 3-point line. There wasn't really a need for them to try and go over the pick to take the shot away. It would have been a very long sort of NBA range 3-pointer there.
Tough shot by Obden Ort. Nice tilt to get some space. First points for Gran Canaria after almost 4 minutes into the game. It's 6-2 for Porto Torres.
Sofiane looking at another 3 here, I think. Forced that one a little bit. You could just see the slight change in his action. The first shot he got under the ball a lot more and got a lot more height on it, but he has a little bit of an unconventional shot action, and that meant that he just, rather than lifting up the ball there, he sort of pushed through the ball and came out a little flat.
It's a little kind of the NBA player Lonzo Ball, I'd say, who's shooting a little from, I don't know, from the side of his head. Yeah, and as you said, that shot was just a little more flat. It wasn't that much with his elbow under the ball, and you could see that it's not that good of an angle as the first 3 that went in.
Definitely, he has quite a long action to his shot. It's general foul there by Obden Ort. So general conventional wisdom is the shorter your shot action, the more consistent you should be, as you've got less time for something to go wrong within the action. Whereas when you have a long action like his, where he starts with the ball high, brings it very low down and pushes through it,
so
that makes the shot more difficult.
Dein Morgen. Dein Moment. Dein Tempo. Dein Ehrgeiz. Dein Wille. Deine letzten Reserven. Dein Ziel. Gib alles. Auch deinem Körper.
Rossbacher mit dem 2:1 Ideal von Calcium zu Magnesium.
Okay, back in action during the timeout. Joe, we were talking about how a tournament like that is for all the players. If you are in that bubble, if you're just like into the hotel room and you can't really do something outside. But I said it's not that much different to a regular tournament where you get a game each day. You are mostly between the hotel or one of the arenas you're playing. You're not doing that much outside the gyms, outside the hotel. You are really focused on all the games you have. So I don't think it's a really huge difference to a regular Champions Cup or Champions League tournament. Maybe it's a little more restrictive because you can't go outside wherever you want. But overall, like the preparation stuff, the time you spend in the hotel, in the arena, is more or less the same.
It's very similar. On the one hand, there's the advantage here that it's a relatively small city, so you don't have, like at the Paralympic Games, you can have an hour's travel sometimes from the village to your venue, so things like that are obviously here a lot simpler. On the other hand, there is the slightly different feeling. Nice finish again by Sofiane there, and one. There's a slightly different feeling that although obviously at a tournament you're very, very focused on your game, on your training, on video meetings and all of these different things, you at least have the opportunity that you can get some fresh air to clear your head. You can go and drink a coffee somewhere.
Yeah.
You can. It's nothing dramatic. You're not, I don't know, having some wild party, but you're able to just relax and take a breath. And maybe if you want some time on your own, not just stuck in your room, you can go and find that. And that is a little different here. I think it's more just the awareness that you're always having to think about what it is you're doing. You're always aware of these restrictions rather than just being a little bit more comfortable.
Wow.
Beautiful three there. That was a little bit of a last-second shot, but he had his chair set up beautifully, great positioning, and a very, very nice finish there.
Yeah, and he was forced to take that shot. The offense didn't go well, ball was almost deflected, and yeah, good for Gran Canaria. Being down 2-8 now, only 5-8.
Definitely, it's important. They only really have two scorers, and maybe the one forward who looks to go inside a little bit, but there's two main scorers for Porto Torres. So it is important that they don't get too far down in this game and start to lose a little confidence. Nice ball movement there to find Sanchez for the open layup. Starting to find a little bit of rhythm here, Gran Canaria.
Yeah, as I said, regularly I'd say Gran Canaria should be definitely better than Porto Torres is at the moment, but Porto Torres is not doing a bad job against all that pressure. They're getting the looks at the basket. They probably have to be a little harder on defense to really stop Gran Canaria, but overall I'm quite impressed that the game is still that open after almost 7 minutes of play.
Yes, definitely. It's, I think, a little different for all teams at the moment. Like we said in the previous game, it's difficult for teams to maybe get over that loss on the first day and really get motivated for games like this. And we saw it in the last game as well. It took a few minutes for people to really find their rhythm. A lot of Gran Canaria's play is also about ball movement, is about timing, is about. We've seen it in the Spanish League a lot this year. They kick the ball from each other and play a really beautiful style of basketball. Lots and lots of passes. Everyone prepared to shoot the ball, and that when your confidence is a little low, that confidence in the pass to just make the next pass without really thinking can be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, you can often see players who are confident and those who aren't confident. Like the three of Ari Twite was a confident shot. You could see he was giving it a good follow through. He was shooting that with confidence. If someone's not confident, you can really see all the motion, all the body language is somehow telling that, and shots aren't going in if it's not happening.
Exactly, if they don't really believe it. That's a good example there from Rose Holloman. She didn't personally have the best day yesterday, but despite being relatively young, she's a super experienced player. Been in the US national team a very, very long time, like one of the stars of the women's game. And
yeah, that game almost 10 years right now.
Exactly. That game yesterday didn't phase her whatsoever, and she's just had a transition there. There's no obvious look on, so she just takes a shot from the middle super confidently and knocks it down. And then a nice transition there, again some ball movement from Gran Canaria to get the layup. They lead now 11-8 with a timeout to Porto Torres.
Dein Morgen. Dein Moment. Dein Tempo. Dein Ehrgeiz. Dein Wille. Deine letzten Reserven. Dein Ziel. Gib alles. Auch deinem Körper.
Rossbacher mit dem 2:1 Ideal von Calcium zu Magnesium.
Yeah, we're both having a look at the scoreboard, I'd say, at the stats, and it's pretty even for Gran Canaria right now. We got 4-3, 2 points. Really showing what you said before the game, Joe, or while the game started, that they are an even out team. They can somehow score inside, somehow score outside. You got all the players having kind of the same skill set, and it's somehow tough to make out who's like the number one threat, number two threat, because everybody can do a little of everything.
Exactly, they're a very, very balanced team. I do think that Jorge Sanchez is maybe the head of that team. Like, he's the guy that initiates a lot of their offense, but he's not a guy who needs to have the ball in his hands. He's very happy, threatens a shot, moves the ball, makes a cut. Everybody rotating, everybody looking to get their teammates open, and it does make it very difficult to stop when you have a team where one guy scores 30 points. Then it's a lot easier to stop than when you have a game where everybody scores their 15 points. Then that's a lot harder to scout and a lot harder to stop. 2 seconds call here.
That was a tough one for Luca Pugioni, catching it over his head as a 1.5, and then, as you could see, he needs some time to adjust his body to get into a shooting motion again, and that was too long. The defenders were already on him. And finally he get called for a 3-second call because he couldn't move his chair fast enough out of the key again.
Exactly, it is something where you can really see the difference with classification in wheelchair basketball. The lower class players sometimes just need that second longer to reset their balance, to find their center of gravity before they can make their next move.
So what I like to see about Porto Torres right here, they don't go just one line, everybody to front court. They try to cross, they try to make the defense move to get to a better position closer to the basket. I mean, it's tough for them, but they are really tough shot of Sofian.
Very tough shot. I'm not sure that he intended to bank that from there, but he's not going to complain. He's going to take that.
Yeah, but they try to make the best out of their limited speed they have, just to get closer to the basket, to get the defense moving, and maybe to get some open look where the defense is just not paying attention.
Exactly. That's a nice shot again from Twig there. He is not shy to take an early shot and get his gun in the game. He tends to be quite open in the middle, as probably the number 3 threat on this team, or maybe even arguably the number 4 threat, but he ends up being one of the top scorers in a lot of games just because he gets the open looks that maybe more known players like Jorge Sanchez or Rose Holloman.
Hey, overall, you're really happy if number 4 threat is Ari Dwight and he's scoring you like 15 to 20 points if you need him to.
Exactly. It definitely makes it a lot easier, and then even more so in the Spanish league where he gets a junior bonus.
Yeah, that's been one question yesterday, if everybody's playing with their true classification. And I was explaining that there's still women's bonus active for European tournaments, but there's no youth bonus. Like, I think it's 1 point for youth players in Spain.
Yeah. Very short there. That's where you can a little bit see the inconsistency in Sofian's action, that he's a very good shooter, but he's quite a streaky shooter, because my feeling is because of this length of action that he has, it just allows a lot of room for error. Nice long pass by Sanchez there to break the one-man press.
And last second shot, yeah, that one didn't go in, but we end the first quarter 15-10 for Gran Canaria. A little lead, not that many points, but I think Gran Canaria, after like 4 minutes of play, really found into their rhythm and are now somehow in control of the game. It's not that much of a margin, but it seems like they are starting to control the game.
Yeah, it's been a while since Porto Torres scored, mate.
Yeah, but just having a look at the stats, Sofian is having 8 out of those 10 points, and Porto Torres did their first sub a few minutes ago. Dario Langyu is now on court. One of the younger players on their team with 26, 27s is already telling a lot if we're saying it's one of the younger players.
Yeah, as you said, it's a little bit of a tough situation here for Porto Torres with the experience or lack of experience that they maybe have, despite not having the youngest team in the world, but also not the biggest bench. They haven't got a lot of options. Like if you look at Landil as the prime example, they have so many options coming off the bench. That's not really the case here for Porto Torres.
Steal
Nice
by Rose
steal.
Hollerman. That was a tough pass for Christian Gomez because he wasn't even rolling. He was somehow even a little rolling backwards, and to get a good long pass out of that situation is really
Poor
tough.
pass there by Sanchez. We've seen that a few times here today. People just underthrowing these entry passes into their forwards. It's not something I really understand. Like these entry passes just have to be thrown long. Like overthrow them if anything. Like so said it a few times in the last game. Overthrow it. Let the ball go out of bounds if it has to. But if it goes out of bounds, you are not in a backpick situation. You have no transition against you.
What I learned a lot while playing is that if you want to get a good pass to one of your big guys against some other big guy, basically pass it like a shot. You want to get it high. You want it to go into the hands of your big guy as it goes to the basket. That's the best pass you can get.
Exactly. So if you try and throw some bullet through the arms of the defender, the chances are there's going to be a slight touch, which just makes it more difficult for your teammate to catch it. Whereas if you can throw it almost, as you say, like a shot, but outside of the cylinder sometimes, particularly with 4.5-point players or 4-point players, their core's good enough that they can... Shot just missed there, but a foul on the shot. There'd be 2 shots for Mendel Opdenort. If you throw it really outside of the cylinder, allow the forward to go and fetch the ball, allow them to tilt, allow them to reach outside their cylinder to gather it, rather than trying to hit really a small target directly above the head of the forward.
Yeah. And it's really different today. Like yesterday, Mendel Opdenort really hit a lot of those tough shots. And today he already missed 2 close to the basket. Now he's missing a foul shot. It can be so different. 2 days of basketball and you're having 2 completely different games so far.
It is one of the difficulties of playing just over a weekend like this. It's things can change. Like one bad night's sleep can have a huge difference as opposed to having a week to prepare in between games. You spend your whole time, particularly in a knockout tournament like this, where the only thing that really matters is the first game. The only thing you really prepare for is that first game, and that means you haven't got as much time to look at video of the second opponent. You haven't got as much time to maybe train for their offense. You're not even sure who that second opponent is going to be. It used to be different in the system where there was a group stage and you maybe knew who your first 3 opponents were going to be. Another missed layup there from Gran Canaria, and that's a little different then because you were able to at least look at a couple, and even if the focus was on the first, you had a little bit more here. Even if you can maybe guess, you're never sure who you're going to play in that second game.
Yeah, it's especially tough for coaches as well to prepare for every team in advance, just to be ready if you have to play someone.
Nice shot from Gomez there.
A really long 2-point shot. Just to get the tape out of your pocket and say, hey, this is our opponent, those are the threats, we have to play like this and that. It's really a tough one at those tournaments.
Very much so. Again, Twig taking a very early shot there. It's generally this Gran Canaria team have a lot of ball movement, as we've said, but ball goes into Twig's hand. There is not a lot of ball movement. Like if he's open, he's taking that shot first time. There's no shot fake.
And he's doing it pretty well.
Yeah,
it's not like he's missing, he's just putting points on the scoreboard.
Exactly, and as he should do. That's a very good job. And that's another lovely 3 from Sofian there. Keeping his team almost single-handedly in the game here right now. I think he has 13 of their, 11 maybe of their 15 points.
And it seems like the more pressure you get on Sofian, the better he shoots.
Very much so. And I've had games against him in the past where you think, I've done everything I need to. Like he can't get a shot off here, and somehow he still makes it. And other games where he's not been quite so efficient.
Pugioni crossed out of bounds, so possession changes to Gran Canaria. Yeah, both teams get a warning right now. Next time somebody goes out of bounds to get an advantage, it's going to be a technical foul. And Gran Canaria is now really putting on a lot of pressure. They are getting their defense up further up the court, already in backcourt of Porto Torres. So they're having a hard time. Sofian even had a backcourt violation where he was weaving a little too much at half court.
A nice finish there again from Twig. You'd see he didn't quite catch that ball cleanly. He almost juggled it a little as he caught it, so the shot came out a little flatter. But he's still confident in his action that he took the shot regardless. So it's a very, very nice finish. And he's having a great game so far. Leading the scoring here for Gran Canaria.
Another tough shot for Sofian, doesn't go. And Rose Hollerman with the rebound, bringing up the ball. Still not stopped. Yeah, but the ball gets deflected on defense.
Well, 3-on-2 situation here for Porto Torres. 2 low classes though, it's going to make it more difficult.
Yeah, those are the situations where you don't want to space out and try to play 3-on-2 the regular way, where you maybe want to get a seal for Sofian, keep the ball in the ball handlers, in the good shooters' hands, and just give him some room to get a good shot off.
Another relatively good look for Twig there, but I think Rose Holloman could have been a little bit more aggressive and attacked the baseline there. I think if she had, then the teammate would have had the opportunity, because they are starting to pressure him a little bit more. The teammate, Twig, may have had the opportunity to find her on the baseline. As it was, everyone's spacing out a little bit for the middle distance shot, and so Twig just took it on himself. Good defense there by Holloman, though, not buying Sofiane's fake at all.
That's what I wanted to say. That's one of the Sofiane special fakes, with his head looking away from the basket and then turning into you. And if you fall to it, he's in front of you, he might draw a foul, but yeah, Rose Holloman just kept her line and closed baseline.
Yep. Rose just getting a little rest here, and James McSorley coming into the game for the first time. GB International.
Yeah, he's been on the squad who get world champion, right?
I believe so, yeah. Had a little bit of a short season last year. James here had some health issues and missed a lot of the season, but it's good to see him back on the court and fully fit in time for selection for Tokyo.
And that's what we seen yesterday from Mendel Optenort. He's pushing his chair. He was pushing really hard to get back on defense, to get that steal, and that's how he beat Landil a lot yesterday, because he was taking that extra push to get an offensive rebound, to get a better position. That's what he did really good.
Yeah, very much not someone who's maybe a highlight reel player, but he's definitely an effort player, someone who puts the work in to create turnovers and get points for his team.
That was a nice catch by Pugioni. I still think for a 1-5, catching it with your left arm extended is pretty tough. Oh, that's some nice give and go.
Yeah, just the wrong spin on the ball from Sanchez, then actually spun the ball away from the ring rather than towards it. Might have been better off going with his left there rather than forcing it with his right.
And that 3-point shot of Sofiane. Rebound Gran Canaria. Yeah, and like you just said, if you're a player going to the basket, no matter if you're a high-class player, low-class player, you have to have some variations in the way you can finish at the basket. Right-handed, left-handed, with spin on the ball, kind of over your head, kind of from a scoop layup from underneath. You have to have all that kind of shots to get it off in any given situation.
Yeah, particularly if you're a bit of an undersized forward like Jorge Sanchez. I mean, he's not built like a Lee Manning, for example, or a Zarzuela, who can just dominate people with their physical presence. Nice shot from the baseline from James McSorley there. Like, Jorge Sanchez is someone who particularly needs to be able to create shots because of his lack of height. But using his right hand there wasn't necessarily a poor option. He just needs to have the correct spin on the ball, and it's easier to create that spin maybe with his left hand if he trusts in it than with his right.
That's a nicely done seal by Pugioni. Sofiane misses and gets fouled, I guess. Yeah, it's two shots for him.
That's the call. I'm not sure if the contact was on Optenort or on his own player there, but the referee sees it as being on Optenort, so 2 shots here, I believe, for Sofiane.
And everybody viewing that was a nice example of how low-class players in wheelchair basketball mostly get really valuable for the team on offense. If they aren't scoring, they're really setting good picks, getting those seals to get their big players in the key, and that's kind of the play in wheelchair basketball. You can have scoring low pointers like Abdi Jama, but you also have a lot of low pointers who are doing really good jobs on working for their taller players to get easy shots at the basket.
Exactly, it's a very different situation from in the able-bodied game where everyone needs to be a scorer to one degree or another. In wheelchair basketball, it's quite often that these lower class players are people who maybe don't have a lot of statistics at the end of the game, but a lot of the points that have been scored by their forwards or by the higher class players have been scored. Nice pick and roll there between the two of them. Yep. A lot of these points have been scored because a lower class player on the weak side has made a cut and hasn't been respected by the defense and created space.
Oh, that was close from Sofiane to losing the ball. Yeah. He barely caught it before James McSorley had his arm on it.
Yeah, James McSorley, I know he's a 2-pointer rather than a real low class. Nice 3 by Sofiane again there. Not a real low class like a 1 or a 1-5, but he's a very, very good example of someone who can do a bit of both. Like, he has a strong middle distance game, even able to take threes as and when he needs to. Optenort opening out there for the shot. Nice rebound though with foul though from Sofian on the rebound. But he also works so well for his high-class players. He has good speed, great reading, very intelligent player, great spacing, and has good timing. And you've seen that a lot in the league this year. The two-man game that he works on the weak side with Rose Holloman has been a big part of why Gran Canaria have had such a successful season.
Yeah, and that's where I can see a difference between like a 1-1-5 and already a 2-point player. He's way more stable than like a 1-point player, and he can do a lot more stuff than most 1-point players can do.
Yeah, very much so. He's got very, very long arms, good speed. And as you say, that core stability is just, he is still a Class 2 player. He's not as stable as, say, a 4-5, of course, but he is still very stable compared to a lot of 1s or 1-5s. And that isn't always just down to disability, that's down to training as well. That's down to working on the core function that the players do have, but also working on their chess setup and creating as much as they can. Abdi Jama, as a genuine one-pointer, has got some of the best core stability you'll ever see from a one-pointer, but it's because he's worked hard at it. That was a lovely pass, exactly on the money for Optinaut to take an easy layup there.
And on the other hand, wheelchair basketball comes down to how your wheelchair is built. Even with building your wheelchair, with getting a little more angle on your seating position, getting some different angle on your wheels, maybe you get better as a player because you now got better material to work on in a better position, more stability through your chair.
Definitely, it's conversations I've had a lot with players over the years. It's you can't expect to change your chair and you will suddenly be a better player, because no matter what you do, there's some give and take in your chair. You can have a wider angle on your wheels, for example, more camber as it's called, and that'll make you spin more in your chair. But then when you spin a little bit more, that also takes a little bit of stability away, and that you're a little more maneuverable than you maybe want to be. If you move your wheels a little further forward, you spin faster, but your balance is more difficult. Like, all of these things are a give and take, and you need to find the right thing to you. You can't expect your chair to make you a better player, but you can definitely improve aspects of your game, so long as you expect that there will be weaknesses that come along with that as well.
Yeah, you have to make a chair fit your playing style.
Exactly.
Like your body constitution and playing style, then everything works out perfect.
Exactly.
Sofian is one example. He started sitting really low with a huge angle in his seating position. Oh, that was kind of his fake again.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit of inexperience from Twig there, just buying that fake.
And now nice seal by Hernandez.
Lovely pass by Sanchez to find Twig. Can't knock down the shot through the contact though. Gran Canaria slowly have chipped away here and have got themselves a 10-point lead now this quarter with 7 seconds to go until halftime. It's looking fairly healthy for them, as Portadores aren't really showing anything outside of Sofian at the moment. He has 15 of their 21 points right now. Everyone else on a maximum of 2 points.
Yeah, Twig makes the first one. I don't think Portadores is going to get a good look, no matter if he misses or makes it, because 7 seconds with the defense Gran Canaria is playing is probably not going to give them. I'm just saying it. I'm not saying anything.
The speed of Sofian can always buy you a shot from somewhere, but has good defense from Jorge Sanchez there. He's no slouch himself.
Yeah, so overall, just to talk about the first half really quickly, we got an 11-point lead for Gran Canaria. It's kind of what we expected. They're putting a lot of pressure on Portadores. Portadores is really relying on Sofian to hit threes, to hit tough shots. Some points of Christian Gomez, but not really helping a lot.
No, Gomez going 1 of 5 at the moment from the field. He's only getting difficult shots though, as you say.
Yeah, and Gran Canaria on the other hand is really balanced, getting threats all over the court. You can't just leave anybody really open, and that's, I think, overall what you could expect from that game. It's now an 11-point lead at halftime, and let's see what we get to see in the second half.
Werde Fan Fun von Tom und Sallys Salatbars. Hol dir die unschlagbaren Salatkombinationen mit hausgemachten Dressings und ofenfrischen Brotsorten. Auf zu Tom und Sallys und klick jetzt Gefällt mir auf Facebook.
Und? Was hast du am Wochenende gemacht?
Nichts Besonderes.
Ach komm.
Nein, das war cool.
All right. 2 minutes before the end of the halftime, we are back on screen. Having a look at the stats for the first half. First of all, there's 4 players on each team playing the whole 20 minutes. So not that many substitutions we've seen so far. For Porto Toros, out of those 21 points, it's 15 for Sofian, only 3 players with 2 points each. But already 7 turnovers for Sofian. That's probably showing how much the game and ball handling depends on him. Overall, they are just shooting 34%, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, and 12 turnovers overall. Then Gran Canaria.
Yeah, if we take a little look, Arie Tuigt and Mendel Optenoort, the 2 Dutch players, are doing the most of the damage here with 16 and 10 points respectively. Jorge Sanchez will be a little disappointed, I think, after that first half, shooting just 16% with 1 of 6 at the minute, but 10 assists to his name, so a lot of the offense being generated by him, even though he isn't necessarily finishing the opportunities he's getting. Rose Holloman and James McSorley also with 2 points each in that first half.
Yeah, it's impressive how the Dutch teams evolved over the years. So they've been around 2000 one of the powerhouses in Europe and in the world, with Gert-Jan van der Linden, for example. And then they've been somewhere in the middle of nowhere playing wheelchair basketball. And during the last years, they developed a program where the women's get world champion in 2018, and even the men's team is somehow evolving over the years, getting some good youth players out of it, some players with potential, and I'm really curious how all this team is going to develop over the next few years.
Very much so. I mean, Mendel has been around the national team for a little while though now, but as you say, the men, for example, haven't qualified for Tokyo, hopefully, that we see this year, but haven't qualified there. But young players like Arie really show the potential that they could be with this Dutch men's team. A couple of changes here as well from the first half here. Richard Nyote, the very, very experienced South African player coming into the game, and I can't quite see who the other is. Beautiful pass there by Rose Holloman, finished by Twig.
Yeah, and it's number
6, Raul Vega, who's come into the game as well here.
And now Christian Gomez really starting to move his chair with a pick and roll. That's what we haven't seen all game long so far.
Yeah, definitely. He's got his screen a little closer to the edge of the key there. That maybe gives him the advantage when the defense really pushes. Just taking a break here for some reason. When the defense really pushes his post out, he has a lot of problems because then he can't run his pick and roll game so effectively. But when he's allowed the screen to get close, then he can get some good shots off and he can create a little more.
Yeah, and we've got for Porto Toros number 22, Yasmin Salis, another Argentinian player on court.
I think just having to remove some jewelry there, I think. Richard Nyote, as we said, for Gran Canaria, very, very experienced player. Feels like the last 20 years or so, we've seen him in all kinds of teams all across the world. So, very powerful player in the South African League, which is one of the summer leagues in the world. Between that and Australia, 2 of the better summer leagues, as well as playing in Italy, playing in Spain for a number of years, I believe, as well.
Yeah, and I love to see how the Gran Canaria bench got excited when Vega got that shot over the middle and they wanted him to score on the international level.
Nice pass inside to Gomez there. Might have been better off shooting it, but defense just switches him off and allows him to roll in. Isn't able to knock down his own offensive rebound though. McSorley being pressured by Sofian here. Nice move.
Oh yeah.
Nice pick by Vega. Rose Holloman open behind the screen. Nog jumped quite aggressively. And this is what we can see. The statistics are a little deceptive here in that Rose Holloman maybe with only 2 points in the game so far, but it's because she's being defended so aggressively. The Porto Toros team obviously know the class that she has as a player and they don't want her to start getting hot and start making these open shots. So jumping her very, very aggressively. And although at the end of the day the young player Twig is the one who's who's maybe making the majority of the points. It's being created by the pressure that they're being taken on the shoulders of players like Rose Holloman and Jorge Sanchez.
And I mean, she's top scorer of the team in the Spanish league, just by 0.1 in points over Jorge Sanchez, but she's like potentially the number one threat if players just look at stats, and that's why she's getting pressured so much.
Exactly, like she is not a surprise that she's getting this pressure, that she absolutely deserves that pressure. Like she's proven over several years, we said internationally and now in the European men's leagues as well, that she is a dominant player when she's allowed to play. So she's being paid a lot of respect here by Portadores.
And now we see Sofiane putting pressure on the ball handling of Gran Canaria.
Foul in transition there by Puglioni. Richard Norted got himself a good position underneath the basket. The hockey assist, or almost hockey assist, by Rose Holloman, finding Ari Tuicht, hoping that he could find Richard Norte, but the pass wasn't able to come there.
Yeah, Richard Norte is more like a shooter, as we've seen right here. He likes to take mismatch shots behind the screen. Even with his quite decent height, he's not that much right next to the basket, but next to other big guys. He likes to shoot the ball.
Yeah, very much so. He's very much a guy who likes to generate offense from outside rather than going inside and looking for those difficult post-up shots. Great defense by Holloman here, just chasing Sofiane all over the place, not giving him anything at all. Advantage situation here.
Oh, nice steal by Maxo. Oh, no. Wow, that might have been a clean block by Sofiane.
Very, very difficult to tell, but that was my feeling as well, that might have been a clean block. Sofiane putting his hand straight up, so maybe there was contact there as well as on the ball, but that looked a really nice hustle play, but had a big impact, the strong hand there.
Yeah, it looked really bad the way Norte fell over, but I think that's pretty normal in wheelchair basketball. If you get that speed in a situation like that and you get contact, players start flying around.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Norte, he's not some 50 kilo small guy, is he? He's a big guy with a lot of weight, with a high center of gravity. Like, you've got a very light wheelchair underneath a strong, like, relatively heavy guy. Like, if there's a lot of contact at the top, then physics say like you're going to come down quite spectacularly, even if it isn't necessarily that big a foul.
But that's what we love wheelchair basketball for, seeing situations like that.
Exactly.
Nice pass to Puglioni, and he can't finish it.
That's disappointing. Norte also switching off a little bit. I was looking to try and switch to get the matchup situation, so he's defending the big guy, but leaving Puglioni completely open. Holloman unconsciously knocks that down there. She wasn't really that open. She had been jumped, but didn't make any difference to her. She was just taking that shot anyway.
But
Lovely
this
to see.
Probably been the most wide open shot she's gotten all game long.
That is the closest she's had to getting an open look. It shows the amount of respect, as we said before, that Portadores have for her as a shooter and as a player.
And that's some little thing you could see with Gomez right here, with somebody with full hip control. He was adjusting his chair by just making a small hop.
Exactly. Nice pass by Holloman there as well to find Norte under the bucket.
He was really up in the air with his whole chair, just hopping a little to the right side to get some more space.
Yeah, it's the difference it makes. It's a difference maybe between, sometimes it's hard to see a huge difference between some of the big 3 or 3.5 players and the 4 or 4.5 players, but those hip movements and that core is the biggest difference for sure.
Dein Morgen. Dein Moment. Dein Tempo. Dein Ehrgeiz. Dein Wille. Deine letzten Reserven. Dein Ziel. Gib alles. Auch deinem Körper.
Rossbacher mit dem 2:1 Ideal von Calcium zu Magnesium.
So slowly but steadily, Gran Canaria is moving away, almost 20 points right now after 4 minutes played in the third quarter. You can see that all the pressure is paying tribute to Portadores. They now took some subs and they are probably weaker than they even were before. but overall they don't get their offense going completely, and defense is really looking weak for Porto Torres right now.
It's a difficult situation, as we said before, for them. Gran Canaria, in this situation where you have to do a lot of your learning on the fly, so to speak. You're learning about your opponents in the game because you have such a short preparation, unlike the week you normally get to prepare for a game in the league season. And Gran Canaria have been learning about the opposition as they've played. They've learned how to and where to jump Sofian a little more, slowly taking his shots away, create or forcing looks for other players who maybe don't necessarily want to take those shots.
And now Gomez is almost already forced, I wanted to say, to shoot, because now Sofian is in a really tough situation.
Okay, good shot in the end there, but they've had to work so hard to get there. Beautiful
pass. Nice pass.
Oh, Holloman can't quite finish that there. Nice hands though by Norte, but a foul called, I think. It was a beautiful pass over the top, right into Holloman's path. You might have been a little distracted with the speed and the intensity of Sofian chasing her down there. He's a fast guy, he's an aggressive guy. You're never sure if there's going to be some contact, and that could have just been playing, although he played it completely cleanly, that could have been playing in Holloman's mind a little there.
Yeah, and where you mentioned fouls, we got 3 fouls on Mendel Opdenort. He's not on court right now, and for Porto Torres, 3 fouls of Shimula, number 6, and Pugioni, number 14. So maybe starting to get a little trouble for Porto Torres because of this short bench. But
for sure.
So they might even have to take away some defense even more, besides already being really down on defense.
Yeah, if they start to get foul trouble like they did yesterday, it'll be difficult. That was a nice pass again by Holloman there. Took that to reach a little to bring it in, but you'd have expected him to knock that down. Just couldn't quite, but managed to fight for the offensive board, and it's a jump ball, and it is a Canaria ball here.
Yeah, some short questioning of the referee. One of the really experienced ones, Max Kindervater from Germany. I've already played games where he's been refereeing.
Yeah, he's definitely been around a long time.
And it's gonna be just an inbound ball, no shots, or was it? No, it's an inbound.
Yeah, Kindervater, the referee, had said that it wasn't shooting, that it's, although the players are lined up, I think Sofian was too busy trying to discuss with one of the referees about whether Holloman was allowed to push into the court the direction she did. Interesting, I can't see Porto Torres allowing her to do that this time. Ball tip there.
I just wanted to say, I didn't really see the tip, but that pass looked so odd how it flew out of bounds.
Yeah, it would have been a surprise if Norte had completely left. I don't know what Simula was doing there at all. Just completely left his man in Twig to go and defend Rose Holloman, who was off court, hadn't even inbounded the ball yet, and just gave his man a completely open layup.
Yeah, and he's talking with Sofian a lot, as we could see right now, and it's not the game of Shimula. He's missing shots, losing balls by not catching passes. He's really having a hard time.
Yeah, it's not the most harmonious situation, I think, here at times on court for Porto Torres. Just 3 seconds on the shot clock here. Sofian had to throw that up a little bit here, but Porto Torres will have the inbound.
Yeah, ball didn't touch the rim, so we only got 3 seconds left. No ball control, and a hook shot by Sofian. No good. In wheelchair basketball, we've got that trouble. We've got no movements to the direct left or right. We have to turn our chairs. Besides Christian Gomez jumping a little to the right, but that's all we can do, basically. So if you line up your chair with 3 seconds to go, not facing the basket, it's a really tough one, and you're forced to take that hook shot because you can't do anything else. You can't do a quick move to the basket and then line up yourself.
Exactly. That was some questionable defense from Simula again there. I think he was trying to claim there was an offensive foul from Twig, and just by sort of lying there a little and waiting for the referee to make the call, ended up allowing his player just to roll in and take another easy layup. That's 2 really easy shots in a row through more through poor defense from Porto Torres than from anything particularly strong from Gran Canaria.
Yeah, pretty clear 3-second call. Sofian was already waiting there for like 3 seconds and then got the ball. And again, there would have been some nice touch pass to James McSorley.
Yeah, referee Kindervater just correcting his colleague there. His colleague had called Gran Canaria ball. They quite clearly come off the footrest of James McSorley. Sometimes difficult to see though through the wheelchairs exactly where the last touch was.
Yeah, there was some obvious foul by Vega, having no chair position, getting his footrest into the big wheel of Gomez. But on the other hand, we had one yesterday where Chris Huber from Landil fouled Jorge Sanchez, who would have had a 1-0 layup breaking through. And it's a good foul by a class 1. If you can't get up to speed with the one coming at you, you just take some contact to get a foul, to get defense set up again. It's kind of clever to take your fouls that you have in your pocket.
Exactly. I mean, it's one of the advantages of wheelchair basketball or basketball generally is you have 5 fouls and you should use them. If you finish a game with no fouls at all, then it suggests maybe your defense hasn't quite been aggressive enough. On the other hand, that means that you can't make any clumsy fouls, and the silly fouls, you need to just use them when you choose to use them rather than taking that opportunity away by making clumsy mistakes. Great drive by Holloman there, off balance, can't quite make the finish after the foul from Puglioni. She'll go to the line for 2 here.
Yeah, Porto Torres is basically falling apart on defense right now. I don't see where they get their defense going. It's an open shot and shot close to the basket, a layup, every offense of Gran Canaria. And the score is 46-25 for Gran Canaria. So I don't see that much happening in that game besides really going on like that.
Exactly, but I think both teams have got another game tomorrow. Like there's value in this game for both sides in that they have something they need to prepare for. 2 misses there from Holloman, that's fairly unusual. It's, as we say, yeah, both teams have something to prepare for tomorrow. As things stand, it looks like Porto Torres will be playing Raden, and Canaria will be playing Albacete, who they obviously know well from the Spanish league this season. So there is definitely value in these minutes left in the game for both sides to prepare for those games tomorrow.
That's what I
Nice shot from Holloman. That shows exactly the confidence of a player with that level of experience. We saw it earlier from Kyle Marsh. He just missed a pair of free throws, very frustrated with himself. Comes out and hits 2 threes in a row. Similar thing from Holloman here. Just missed 2 free throws. No question that she doubts her ability though. Comes down, first open look she gets, she takes it and it doesn't touch the ring. Beautiful shot.
Yeah, and that's what I love about that tournament and what I've seen from the emotions from the teams, especially yesterday where it's been do or die for a semi-final. Everybody's taking it serious. It's really a tournament to find the best team in Europe. It's not like everybody's playing for fun right here. Everybody wants to win, and that was my impression. What we could see from all the teams, they were going at it as hard as they can to win.
You could definitely see that there were nerves involved, and I think a part of that is obviously you're playing against new teams. You've had less chance for preparation and things, but it's also just the situation of the leagues over these years. There's been so much uncertainty in everything. There's been reduced or broken up preparation time for everybody. There's been all kinds of issues that for the first time in beautiful finish there by Nord. That is showing his experience and class there. But for all the teams, it's been, for the first time in a long time, I would say there were probably 5 or 6 teams with a realistic shout of winning this tournament. And that's not something that you would have normally said of Champions Cups over the last few years, where there's 2, potentially 3 teams that were in with a realistic shout. But the broken up nature of this team, there's been no runaway leader in the Spanish league, for example, as everyone has taken games off each other. Despite Landil's fairly dominant win against Thüringen in the second game, they had lost the first game of the regular season to Thüringen. There's no runaway leader in Germany either at the moment, even if maybe Landil are slight favourites just because of that.
Yeah, and
that
we are in the
result.
next timeout.
Dein Morgen. Dein Moment. Dein Tempo. Dein Ehrgeiz. Dein Wille. Deine letzten Reserven. Dein Ziel. Gib alles. Auch deinem Körper.
Rossbacher mit dem 2:1 Ideal von Calcium zu Magnesium.
Yeah, to finish your thought, Joe, I really think, or I agree with you that any team in the semi-final can win it now, and you could see that even teams losing in the quarterfinal aren't that much away from the teams now in the semi-final.
Absolutely, no. You've got Gran Canaria, who lost by 2 points to Landil. You've got Albacete, who lost by 2 points in overtime to Bilbao. Like either of those teams who are here fighting for the 5th place, or will be fighting for the 5th place tomorrow, we assume. Either of those teams had a very, very realistic shout of being in a semi-final today as well. Richard Nord knocking down the free throw there. Don't let that the grey hair there from him fool you. He's been around a long time and he's still very, very able to play the game at this level. Perhaps with less minutes than he used to, but very capable player.
Yeah, and he's been like the number one threat of South Africa for, I'd say, a decade and more.
We played a preparation tournament in 2008 before the Beijing Paralympics, and Richard had been the dominant player of that team for a number of years before that even. He's really been around a long time.
Nice fadeaway shot by Gomez.
Yeah, you can see Gomez has to push that shot a little bit. He uses really his core to create the extra range on that. It's a little bit of a flat shot, but still with very nice touch.
Yeah, there's different kind of shots. Even if any shot got a follow through, you got some wrist shooters, arm shooters, and as you said, some kind of chest shooters moving their whole chest to get that shot off. It's interesting to see what wheelchair basketball creates, where you can't just jump to get a jump shot.
Exactly. Everyone has to find the action that works for them. And
that was
a nice finish by Vega. Yeah, going into the trees a little bit there, but able to get a quick finish off.
And as you mentioned, Beijing, the Paralympic Games. Anybody who doesn't know, with Joe Bestwick next to me, we got a Paralympic medalist sitting next to me.
A very long time ago.
Yeah, winning bronze at the 2008 Paralympics, if I'm not that mistaken.
No, you're definitely not mistaken. It's on a shelf somewhere at home still. Great pass there, and a breakaway layup for Jorge Sanchez. Knocks that down, no problem at all. Lead is blowing out to 26 points here with about 40 seconds left to go in the third quarter.
And seeing Sanchez back on court is showing what you said before. There's a game coming up tomorrow for 5th place, obviously right now for Gran Canaria, and you got to get your players some court time to somehow stay in their rhythm and not being completely cooled off when they get to the game tomorrow.
Exactly, it's a balance. You need to maybe 3-on-1 situation here. Not able to get the pass off by McSorley. I think Sanchez might have been a little bit better off making a pass fake to McSorley there just to move Gomez, and then taking the layup on himself on his right hand rather than burying James a little bit there under Gomez. But yeah, it's, as we said, it's about finding the balance between you don't want to play your players too much and risk fatiguing them a little bit, but these are all professional players and they should be fit enough to play a game a day over a weekend like this. It's not like they're playing 2 or 3 times or 2 times a day like it used to be in the old Champions Cup format, and then resting players is obviously a lot more key. This is just one game a day, and balancing minutes is important. Having rhythm is maybe even more important.
Yeah, the old Euro Cup format was a killer format for every team. You had 5 games in 3 days, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday, and then your placing game on Sunday. That's been a really tough times when you had to play those 5 games on a level like that.
It was absolutely exhausting. It was some of the most fun you could have at a tournament, though, because it meant that maybe not the most professional setup, but it meant that your fourth game in 36 hours, your second game on the Saturday was potentially a semi-final against one of the strongest teams in world basketball. And you're physically tired, your body hurts, you're emotionally tired. Maybe you've lost your last group game but still qualified for the semi-final, and you need to come back from the disappointment of a loss. Or on the other hand, you've had a really physical win where it was do or die in that third group game, and then
just
5 hours later,
just
hours before, then 5 hours later you're going into a semi-final against a team who've maybe had more chance to rotate and rest. in the game before. It's such a, say, not maybe the most professional setup ever, but such an exciting tournament in its own right, and so difficult to win because of that.
End of third quarter, 55-29 for Gran Canaria. Not that much to say. Besides, Sofiane hasn't scored any points for Porto Torres in the third quarter. He's still at 15. We got Gomez with 8 right now. For Gran Canaria, it's still Twig with 22, shooting 10 of 17. Jorge Sanchez now back for just the last 2 minutes. Not that much more from him. But then Rose Hollerman, as you said, knocked down 2 shots where she got a little more open than the whole first half. And Richard Nortje, really in barely 8 minutes of play, he scored 9 points, just showing that he is experienced. If he's on court, he knows what to do, he knows how to play his game, and maybe nothing can really shock him, whatever's happening on court.
Exactly, there's nothing that he hasn't seen in the game before. Ari Twig, the only guy for Gran Canaria who's not taken a break so far today. It'll be interesting to see if the coach rests him a little bit before the game tomorrow, or if they just decide that he's young enough that he can keep going no matter what. Holloman has a 1-on-0 layup here. If Sanchez can find her, he can.
Yeah, nice.
Takes her time there, very cool, very calm.
And nice pass by Sanchez. That's what we can see in wheelchair basketball. You don't see that many two-handed passes from down the key, those long passes, just like those really strong hook passes. And to get the ball a good bounce, that it doesn't get faster to get out of bounds on the other baseline, just to get that back rotation so the ball slows down a little when it touches the ground.
Exactly. Good decision by Sanchez there not to force the pass to Twig on the fast break. Ovega finds McSorley a little late though. 2-man game here, no. Sanchez takes it on his own, dishes it nicely. Nice finish from the top from Vega there.
Yeah, and Sanchez is a really unselfish player. With his strength of play, you really gotta be that unselfish, because there are a lot of players who like to shoot a lot, like to have the ball a lot, force shots, and he's playing good passes, having a good court vision. He's doing a lot for that team without even scoring that much.
Exactly, he's 11 assists so far today, but you can see a little bit that when he was out of the game that Rose Holloman took over that role a little bit. She went up to 7 assists quite quickly there. Nice finish from James McSorley. Yeah, in those minutes that Sanchez was outside of the game, just taking a rest, Rose took over that role a little bit, and she stepped up to be a little bit more the playmaker rather than the person knocking down shots on the weak side.
So overall, I maybe have to ask you that question as an other player. I still think you can be really good as a team in wheelchair basketball if you get basics right. You don't have to get any fancy, I think. If you have good basics in wheelchair basketball, you can get close to the highest level if you get that right as a team.
Very much so. In tournaments, like you do sometimes need someone who has a little bit of an X factor, someone who can do something a little different to get you over the line in the biggest games. But as a general thing, Gran Canaria, as we said earlier, a great example of that. They're a team who don't have necessarily a superstar. They don't have anyone who is an absolute star of the team, but they have a lot of people with very, very solid fundamentals who are able to play a variety of roles depending on who's on the court with them.
Yeah, one more example, they're getting some good ball movement when possible.
Sanchez holding the pick there as well, that's nice to see.
Yeah, that was probably a little too far for Twig, as what we've seen from him this game and yesterday, that around the key, inside the key, he's pretty good. If it goes down up to almost 3-point line, that's not his range or his preferred range.
No, like you say, he can shoot the threes, but that was a little bit in between the two for him. Like a three is one thing, he has a slightly different action when he shoots a three. He drops the ball a little lower and uses a little bit more of his arm for the shot, whereas he has not a true post-up, not really above his head like someone like Gomez, for example, or Nyote, but he shoots a little bit more above his head, like we can see just there when he's within his comfortable range. That shot was a little outside of his comfortable range, but he still tried to use the same technique, and it's a little bit in between the two shots that I'd say he's comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's a really big difference if you can shoot a 3 rolling a little, or you have to take a long 2 standing still.
Very much so. Nice pass by Gomez there, finds Sofian. Nice shot from the middle, knocks down the buzzer beater there.
Yeah, Lang Yu. And that was a nice wrist pass by Sofian. Really not a high pass, like a scoop pass over the defenders, but right through the defenders, right on the target.
Took shown a little bit of his inexperience there, I think. It set up a good two-man game with Holloman, and he just took the one-on-one cut there. If he'd have held his position like a second longer and then made his cut once the defense was truly committed to Holloman's side, I think he would have got a better shot out of that, but he saw half a space and attacked it rather than maybe having a little more patience. Beautiful shot by Holloman. Again, we see it's getting her gun in the game. Not really open. She's got the biggest player on the court jumping her, and she still just takes that one early, showing that she doesn't have to score a lot to be very, very effective, but she is more than capable of doing it.
Yeah, and the thing you mentioned about Twigged, that's what wheelchair basketball and basketball in general comes down to. You have to have some court vision, you have to have timing to get that game going as a team. Because if you don't have that timing right, it's not working out, like on a pick and roll play, on defense, on a triple switch. If you don't have your timing right, your court vision to recognize those situations, it's not going to work out as a team.
3 for Holloman, knocks that one down as well, through the contact. Could see Sanchez wanted to set that up for her the whole way there. He just looked if he could dish it to her behind the screen. She was getting pressured, so she curled out behind the 3-point line, dished it to her, and they were exactly on the same page there. She knew exactly what he wanted, and she knocked the shot down. 3 seconds from Gomez here, maybe. He's just sitting, waiting. No call. That's a situation where I'd like to see the referee call the 3 seconds. Gomez has gone inside. He's clearly in the key for a very long time, but the defender can't leave him just in case the referee hasn't seen it. So the defense stays there. He is affecting the defensive play, and then in the end, nobody can get to Sofian. Sofian draws the foul and gets 2 shots there, but Gomez has affected that play by the fact that he stayed in the key for so long, even if he didn't have the ball in his hands. I'm sure that if the ball had come to him, you could see the ref saw it. If the ball had come to him, I'm sure the referee would have blown for it, but just his presence there affects the defense, and I think that's sometimes this you say in German, this Feingefühl that referees need to have for a basketball game.
That's a situation where I remember that I was somehow lucky to play with someone like Joe Johnson, who was really feeling that defense. And he said, if someone's getting in the key and I'm defending him, it's like, in my mind, it's 1, 2, 3. And if I count to 3 and it's still in the key, I'm leaving him. I'm going. I'm seeing where I can play the next defense. And he's relying on the ref to call that.
Exactly, and you're putting a lot of trust in the referees there by doing that. I'm not sure how confident I'd be doing that, but it makes a lot of sense. Like, you know that the referee should be calling that in that situation. A few more substitutions here by Gran Canaria, letting the whole bench play a little bit today. I think that's, just looking along the bench, that is everyone now who's seen some minutes today.
Yeah, and there was another beautiful pass by Jorge Sanchez. Right on spot for Mendel Opdenort with his next 2 points.
Yeah, nice pass by Sofian there, just sort of scooping the ball out. Is a little frustrating though, I've got to be honest, to see him using his right hand there rather than throwing a left-handed hook pass. Like, it's very effective, but just for seeing someone using their fundamentals, I'd like to see him throw a left-hand hook pass there personally.
Another nice pass by Sanchez.
Strong
and
finish.
One.
That deserves to be an and one. Referee's just conferring to make sure that...
two shots.
Two
no
shots.
And one.
Interesting decision. I can understand that maybe she thinks he was in his shooting action, then brought the ball down because of the foul and then took it again, but I feel like that deserves to be an and one personally.
Yeah, and Mendel Opdenort is showing. I was shooting the ball.
Okay, they've changed their decision. That was basket good.
Yeah, just 1 shot. And that's what I personally like to see, if refs get into the conversation and maybe think about a situation again, because as players make mistakes, refs make mistakes, and if they are able to get another decision out of some argument they're having under each other, I think it's all right, and it's
Absolutely.
good to see.
Yeah, it shows that there's not a pride or stubbornness in being able to change their mind, that they accept that they may be. Nice 3 again there from Sofian. Been a while since he's scored. Good to see him get back in the game a little here at the end. Yeah, it shows that there isn't a level of pride or stubbornness that means they aren't willing to change their minds, going, oh yeah, that was a mistake by me, no problem. And then they correct it. Then I think players are a lot less likely to... Beautiful finish there.
That was kind of a tip-in in wheelchair basketball.
Yeah, I'll take it back. I said he didn't really... it wasn't a highlight play, more of a workhorse, but that's definitely a highlight play from Optinaut there.
Yeah, now we see Claudio Pio for the first time for Porto Toros for the last 2.5 minutes. It's 73-37. That's a really, really huge margin. I wasn't expecting the game to be that far away apart from each other.
I think on levels of potential, I was expecting it to be a fairly comfortable win for Gran Canaria, but it's always a question if a team can really perform to their potential, having just had the disappointment of losing the day before. It shows a lot for the strength of character of Porto Torres. Beautiful 3 by Richard Norte there. Had a long time to line that one up though, but again, emphasises the fact that he is a lot more focused on being a shooter than he is being an inside presence, despite some really nice finishes inside through contact.
Yeah, and Gomez again getting to the basket, but Sofian taking another 3.
Optinaut looking for the fast break to get the 1-on-0 layup there.
He's still there. Porto Torres is not going back to defense, really.
No, they're not in a rush here.
It would have still been a possibility to give the ball to him, and not
coast to coast, finishes inside. Norte getting his numbers up a little bit here at the end of the game. Just showing his speed though, like he is not slow. He plays a very sort of casual style sometimes, but he is definitely not slow and is a strong player in his chair.
Yeah, and slowly but steadily we have Sanchez with 4 points, but 9 rebounds and 17 assists.
Exactly. I'm sure he's going to be disappointed in his shooting performance, but I don't think that it's going to be something that weighs on his mind too heavily when he looks at the overall performance that he's helped in some ways lead his team towards.
Yeah, I still think if looking at stats, no matter if it's your own stats or if someone else is looking at stats, every assist has to be at least equal to 2 points on the scoreboard. Even if 17 assists equals at least 34 points for somebody else, and that's huge to have produced in a game.
Exactly, it isn't just the points that you put on the board; it's the situations that you can create for your teammates as well.
And that's why I think we should have a stat in wheelchair basketball for seals played. That's hard to scout, but some low pointers would have like 0 points, 0 rebounds, but maybe 10 seals in a game, which equals 20 points for someone else, and that would be huge to just have as numbers on a score sheet.
Exactly. I think if you have the technology and the scouting systems that you have in football, that kind of thing's a lot easier to track in the limited budgets of the world of wheelchair basketball. It's a little more difficult, but it would definitely show a different appreciation to the work that low pointers do that can sometimes be missed by someone who's observing the game a little bit more casually.
That's probably close to another 3-second call, but it didn't hurt Gran Canaria. So last minute of the game, 40-point advantage for Gran Canaria. Almost a double seal, and he still decides to take the assist on Richard Norte. Interesting play.
Yeah, good decision, I think. Optinaut, they're rolling towards the baseline. It's a shot you can definitely take, but it's not as comfortable maybe as Norte's stationary next to the basket.
Yeah, it's coming back to one thing I said on our last German league games. I want to see someone in wheelchair basketball evolve like a hook shot from the edge of the paint. Just like that would be a whole different story if someone could get a solid hook shot off the edge of the key, just setting a screen and then getting the ball, getting that hook shot off. That would change the game at all.
Definitely, that would just those little sort of baby sky hooks would completely change things. I think Gran Canaria just dribbling the ball out here for the last seconds. They did a really professional job that last... oh, no, we're going to shoot it anyway. Interesting. Their last defense, you could say that they were doing a really professional job. They played the high line. They didn't quit just because the game was over. They played it through regardless, and then see the game out at the end. 81-39 the final score here.
Yeah, that's what I think is always important. If it's a do-or-die game, you can dribble out like the last possession. But if it's a game where maybe games against each other count in the end, where you don't know if you're even, as we said in Spain, there might be a chance that Bilbao and Mideba have the same amount of wins and losses in the end, where it comes down to your games against each other. You want to play every possession till the end.
Exactly. Then there's nothing about dribbling it out. Then you want to play for every single point possible.
Yeah, so overall, 81-39, it's more than 40 points. I didn't expect it to be that much of a margin, but I expected Gran Canaria to win a solid game. Let's have a look at the stats. I'll start with Porto Torres. In the end, it's Sofiane Meaoui with 23 points, having played 40 minutes. Just shooting 30%, but that's probably showing the pressure and the weight he has to carry on his shoulders for that team. 7 rebounds, 6 assists, but also 9 turnovers. Second best scorer, Christian Gomez, with 8 points, also having played 40 minutes, 12 rebounds for him. As a team, just shot 26%, grabbed 31 rebounds, 9 assists, and 17 turnovers. Yeah, handing over to you, Joe, for Gran Canaria.
Yeah, if we look at Gran Canaria, as we said, Jorge Sanchez starting at the top here, maybe a little disappointed with his personal shooting performance, just going 2 of 9 for the game. But those 10 rebounds and 17 assists are really, really key. Mendel Opdenort had a very strong game, shooting 66% for 17 points. Ari Tuig, 22 points, 10 of 19, including a 3-pointer. Rose Holloman having a very good percentage day, 66% for 13 points in her 30 minutes, as well as 7 assists, mainly when Jorge Sanchez was out of the game. And we have Raul Vega with 4 points. Richard Norte is very, very efficient, 17 points in 12 and a half minutes, as well as 4 rebounds. James McSorley also 4 rebounds, someone who can go under the radar a bit and pick up some sneaky boards as a smaller player, also shooting 100%, 2 from 2 for 4 points.
Alright, the 2 crossover games for positions 5 to 8 are in the books. We'll see Raden against Porto Torres tomorrow morning. We'll see the Spanish duel of Gran Canaria and Albacete for P5. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to finish that game off, stay with us. We'll be back for the semi-finals. First one, RSB Team Turing against Bilbao, and then the second one of the European Classic games, RS Villarreal against Madrid. See you later.
Werde Fan von Tom und Sallys Salatbars. Hol dir die unschlagbaren Salatkombinationen mit hausgemachten Dressings und ofenfrischen Brotsorten. Auf zu Tom und Sallys und klick jetzt Gefällt mir auf Facebook.
Und? Was hast du am Wochenende gemacht?
Nichts Besonderes.
Ach komm.
Nein, das war cool.